Hey, this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. And don't forget to check out my website, paradxastrology.com. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also supports this channel. Thank you to everyone for supporting this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. Let's talk about the Saturn retrograde that is going to be happening. This is on the 17th. So let's talk about how it's going to impact you and the world. Now, the last time Saturn went retrograde in Shatabhisha, it happened on June 10th in 1993. Now, I have a previous video where I talk about Saturn in Aquarius aspecting Rahu. And if you check out that video, a lot of things that I predicted already occurred. So one of the things I talk about in that video was how Kim Campbell became the first female prime minister in Canada during that time, during the retrograde. After the retrograde ended and it started going forward, then she was out. So she was kind of more of a replacement at that time. And I thought that was really interesting because we will see new leaders appear because of the aspect with Leah. There is a possibility, especially because Trudeau is in his Mars Dasha in the 8th house, bringing all the enemies to the forefront because of all the affairs that he is dealing with at this time. I would caution him. I don't see it as a huge possibility, but I thought it was very interesting considering the times that we're in right now. But we will see some replacements of leaders, and some will actually die due to diseases. Saturn is the deliverer of karma. You reap what you sow, getting the fruits of your labor, the cause and the effect. It is time itself. So whatever efforts you were putting into when Saturn was in Capricorn, and as Saturn is in Aquarius since January, you will reap that karma. And remember, this isn't just karma from this life. This is karma from all your past lives as well. So things will always pop up. You know, we try to control everything, which is Saturn, which is impossible, right? Because Saturn is in control of that. So it doesn't matter how good you are, there is karma from past lives as well, and we have to accept that. But we can only do what we can in this lifetime, what we're aware of, right? You will get the results of so that depends on if you were on your life path or not. The way for you to find your life path is looking at your birth chart and understanding your Atmakarika, which is your purpose, understanding the karmas that you're getting from Saturn in your birth chart, and many other things. So yes, it can get complicated. If you need help, I'm here for you. Now, this video is only going to be about Saturn retrograding in Shatabhisha because it will eventually go to Dhanishta. And I'll have another video about that because that's not going to happen until October. Then it'll go forward again and go back into Shatabhisha. So remember, what happens during this time, we will revisit it. So this can be about longevity, stability. This could bring you that long-term career that you've been searching for, that you're gonna have to work pretty hard in, but you wanted that. It could be that stable relationship that you always wanted. It can bring you that karmic relationship you always wanted. It can bring you the spiritual growth that you wanted, because Saturn represents sadhana. And sadhana is the practice, it's the discipline that is required in your spiritual practices in order to achieve enlightenment. So this could definitely bring these types of things into your life. It could bring you a height of your spirituality if you're already working on these things. It could push you into spirituality. So these are all the very positive things that can occur. It's a big push. Saturn starts having so much more energy than it did before. So a lot of growth in all these aspects. If Saturn thinks that you need to learn a lesson, for example, you weren't quite on your path, right? And you weren't on your path for a while, maybe since last year after the retrograde. This could cause some obstructions, some delays, some frustrations to you because Saturn is now going to put you on that path. So this is that realignment, and it will be frustrating for some. Some may go into self-pity. And you have to remember that this is actually for the highest good. Saturn is your father, is your teacher, is your guide, right? We have to understand Saturn is not doing this to harm you. He is putting you on that path so that you become who you're meant to be, so you can grow and flourish. So keep that in mind. It can create dissatisfaction because all of a sudden you realize yeah, I'm not on my path, and that causes a dissatisfaction. So it's time to figure out what your path is. This nakshatra main symbol is the empty circle, and Saturn brings karma. So what goes around comes around, like the circle. It's time to reap that karma, and it's time to revisit the way we heal others, because this is all about healing. It's 100 healers. So secrets will come out about the pandemic that we never knew before. Some civil servants will have to incur karma because of their deeds. Remember, karma comes from what you participate in, knowingly or unknowingly, from this life and others. So if you were complicit because you were following orders and you say, well, it's not my fault, I was following orders, you still get karma from that. So understand that's how it works. Some will actually seek protection and hiding because they don't want to face the karma. But you can't hide from Saturn. You have to face it. They will do this so that the secrets aren't let out. With Mars aspecting Saturn, Mars is aspecting Saturn, the 8th aspect. And this could be trying to contain a fire or trying to contain aggression and violence. And this can cause accidents, explosive activities as well. It relates to all enclosed bodies of water, like lakes and oceans. So we must be cautious that nothing is leaking into them. Now, I think of Ukraine when I say this, because disasters happen when Mars aspects Saturn, right? It's going to be aspecting Saturn even when it's in Leo by the 7th aspect, which will be even more powerful. So we saw what happened when it was aspecting and a dam that exploded and the water is leaking out. They say it could potentially hit a nuclear plant. And these are the same transits. I have another video about that where I predicted that these are the same transits that happened during Chernobyl. And so that Ukraine should be cautious, and they're actually comparing this to Chernobyl. I warn people to be very cautious of this. Some examples of when Mars was aspecting Saturn, some tragedies were Mount Pelée eruption. And a lot of these lasted a week or a month, and some lasted a day. But these are major tragedies. There was the Great Chicago Fire. There was a jetliner crash. There was Franklin D. Roosevelt death. There was the death of Ronald Reagan, who was shot. Princess Diana, Mars aspecting Saturn. Britain entering World War II. The Columbine massacre. So those are some things that have occurred when the Saturn aspect. A lot of accidents and things occur, so just to be cautious of that. So Mars will be in Leo on July 1st, so that's when these aspects will get stronger. This has to do with the Soma, because it's relation to Varuna, which is the lord of the oceans, and the liquid, which is also the liquid of the gods, the elixir or the intoxicant. So we can see that things are going kind of downhill for companies like Bud Light, which is the intoxicant. And I would caution them that Saturn is about to get more powerful, and this could get a lot worse. A lot of people will turn towards healing during this time, a lot of new ways of healing, more unconventional ways of healing, in line with either the wisdom of Jupiter or with Rahu, which could be more new technologies. Some will be selling these technologies for profit, only for profit, out of greed, but not to help others. They will be hiding their motives to the world. But the motives from the past will come out. It gets its power from what it tries to hide, and it will be trying an overload to hide these things. Because Shatabhisha is the ultimate con artist. It also represents the media. So the media will try even harder during this time to put out false stories, to persuade the masses into their agenda by also canceling people, banning people from social media, taking down videos, etc. This will be on the rise in order to hide something, especially in Canada. And this will get a lot worse coming in July when we have that aspect with Mars because of the litigation about the internet that just went into play into Canada. Now this will be implemented during that time. People will rise up though. The secrets hidden about health and the pandemic will be spilled out, and the corruption of the media and leaders will be very hard to hide. There'll be an inclination to create walls and boundaries to the public. So this one is important to have contemplation, because contemplation creates wisdom and enlightenment during this time. But some will want to seclude themselves and go into self-pity. And like I said, this is not a pity party. It's facing our karma. And once we face our karma, we can let it go, but we have to face it first. This will also bring out a lot more addictions, a lot of perversions and vulnerabilities. All types, which is mental, emotional, and physical. Also, psychological disorders will be on the rise as well. There'll be actually new medications in order to deal with this, and some medications and some poisons, depending on how you look at it. It belongs to the butcher class. It's about very harsh activities happening during this time, cutting off, getting rid of. Also, medical treatments that are very complicated to diseases that involve surgery. Also, bone-related diseases. There could be even violent acts that occur that end up killing and hunting animals as well as people. So the professions dealing with this is anything to do with electricians, electricity, technological experts, x-ray experts, all physicians, anyone, any kind of healers, anything to do with hospitals, pharmaceutical industry, drug dealers, pimps, prostitutes, maybe some things about human trafficking coming out. This could do with also the stars, astronauts, anything to do with space travel, rockets, engineers, things coming out about what space really is. But also we could see a false alien invasion using technology and religion as a cover, and people will believe it because Jupiter is so close to Rahu. So just to caution you on that. This also has to do with movie stars, trendsetters, plastics, petroleum, nuclear waste. Be very cautious, nuclear waste spilling into the oceans. Also accidents with trains spilling things into the ocean. We could see more of that. Distribution and the sales of alcohol products. Like I was saying, this could get worse for companies like Bud Light. Recycling industry, disposal industry, offshore drilling stations. We should be very cautious. This is airports as well. A lot of new inventions will come during this time. This also involves meditation gurus as well, yoga, things like that. Bars, clubs, hospitals. So that's why we're seeing a lot of movies that have to do with space all of a sudden, and potential sightings of aliens and things like that. And a lot of the media pushing this false narrative of the alien. Not that there isn't aliens and there isn't other beings other than us, but there are agendas being pushed and a false media narrative pushing that. We could also see airplane crashes. This happened last time when it was in retrograde, or alien crashes. Now, some will actually hit the height of their career during this time of their profession and actually completely turn things around. Something so unexpected, because remember, Saturn is a servant, but Saturn is also the authority figure. It can make you a servant to an authority figure overnight, especially with that aspect with Rahu and Jupiter. So keep your hopes up. And if you have the right karma, you're going to reap what you sowed. If you've been working hard for this whole time, even since the pandemic, you've been working and you had this goal in mind, now could be the time that you reap these rewards. Remember though, if you act out of greed, Saturn will correct you very quickly. It'll be a good time for signing deals, signing contracts. This could be land and housing deals. Maybe you've wanted that home for so long and then now you get it. This could be vehicles as well. This could be selling that vehicle and that home that you had for a long time and you're wondering what was going on with that. You could suddenly get the financing that you wanted for these particular things with the aspect with Jupiter. This could bring you a new beginning because it's in Aries. Others will start healing activities such as yoga and meditation. And if you're already doing these things, you're going to hit some new heights. So this could bring an awakening to a lot of people, an awakening of what the truth really is. A lot of people will have their lives enhanced in ways that they never expected, which is aspect in Ashwini, which is the merchant class. The merchant class will be meeting its karma at this time. So those who acted out of greed will see huge losses. Also, Saturn is aspecting Scorpio. That will bring out more of the secrets, but also has to do with finance as well. So some people will hear record lows and some will have record highs. It just depends on your karma. So only you know that. So that's just a short video of what I see. And I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.